When Irwin Allen first approached stars Guy Williams and June Lockhart about starring in his new science fiction adventure series, he assured them personally that they would be the stars of the show. He explained that it was a drama centering around their family and that it would appeal to all age groups. The last-minute introduction of Jonathan Harris as Dr. Zachary Smith changed all that. Join us now as we look at what went on behind the scenes of Lost in Space, how Dr. Smith took over the show, and how a planned space adventure series was transformed into a fantasy children's show on this episode of Rerun Zone. The first time I heard about Lost in Space, I was watching a children's program on a local Philadelphia TV station in early 1965. The host was showing a preview of this new science fiction program coming to television called Lost in Space. He showed incredible footage of the spaceship Jupiter 2 crash landing on an unknown alien planet. It didn't matter that the footage was in black and white. I only had a black and white TV set anyway. Lost in Space was based on the 1812 classic novel Swiss Family Robinson, but with a twist. The twist was that the family was lost in outer space. Now, Gold Key Comics at the time considered suing the network because the premise was similar to their comic book Space Family Robinson. They ultimately decided against it as they were already publishing another comic book based on the Irwin Allen property Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, and they wanted to stay on good terms with the network. Instead, they negotiated a deal that allowed them to change the comic book's title to Space Family Robinson Lost in Space to take advantage of the show's popularity and boost sales of the comic. The first season of Lost in Space had a more serious adventure feel to it. The campy components were not yet fully inserted, and the first 5 episodes were great science fiction television. The original pilot, No Place to Hide, centered around the Robinson family leaving Earth in their spaceship called the Gemini 12. They were to be the first humans to colonize another planet circling the distant star Alpha Centauri. When their ship collides with a meteor storm, it veers off course and crashes on an alien world. Enter Dr. Zachary Smith and the robot. The characters of Dr. Zachary Smith and the robot were not in the original pilot, but network officials decided the show needed an antagonist after seeing the finished episode. Irwin Allen, the show's creator and producer, wanted to cast actor Jonathan Harris to play Dr. Smith. Harris had a meeting with Allen where he was asked what it would take for him to take the part. Harris replied, "I haven't even seen a script yet." When he finally got to read over a couple of scripts, he decided he liked the part, but Allen told him that because the pilot was already filmed, he would have to get last billing on the show. Well, that didn't sit right with Harris, so he thought about it for a while and finally called Irwin Allen back with a proposal. He told Allen that he wanted special guest star billing at the end of the credits on each episode. Allen was stunned by the audacity of the proposal, screaming and hollering into the phone. After getting it all off his chest, he finally relented and gave Harris the credit that he wanted. Smith and the robot's parts were then filmed and edited into the finished pilot, cutting it into 4 parts and making up the show's first, third, fourth, and fifth episodes. The second episode featured all new content and didn't include any footage from the pilot. The first episode broadcast was called The Reluctant Stowaway. It introduces us to the Robinson family, their robot, and the infamous Dr. Smith who hides aboard and sabotages their spacecraft, the Jupiter 2. Dr. Smith becomes trapped on board and is launched into space with the Robinsons as a reluctant stowaway. In the first few episodes, Dr. Smith is played as a straight, dastardly villain working for a foreign government and is plotting to kill the Robinsons by reprogramming the robot to make it look like an accident. Harris loved playing the part of the villainous Dr. Smith, but absolutely hated the character as he was so evil. He told the producers they should kill him off after the first 5 episodes. He did hope to stay on longer, but didn't think the audience could stand his character as his actions just kept getting worse and worse. He then decided to completely revamp the character and make him more likable and eccentric. By the end of Season 1, the viewer already had a clear idea of his character being cowardly and self-serving. Smith quickly became the most popular character on the show. Harris was also known to rewrite all of his dialogue with the blessing of Irwin Allen, and would often improvise during scenes. He was famous for his creative insults towards the robot. Although Smith's insults are too numerous to mention here, a few of the more memorable ones are,
"You bubble-headed booby!
Silence, you ninny!
Be still, you babbling bird brain!
You blithering bumpkin!"
Smith was also known for the popular phrases,
"Oh, the pain. The pain."
and of course,
"Never fear. Smith is here."
the robot was also a potential threat to the Robinsons. He possessed superhuman strength and advanced weaponry and was under the command of the villainous Dr. Smith in the first 5 episodes.
At exactly launch plus 8 hours, inertial guidance system destroy. Radio transmitter destroy.
Dr. Smith had programmed the robot to kill the Robinsons one by one when they were found alone. He had yet to develop the human-like characteristics that would later endear him to Lost in Space fans.
Destroy.
Constructed by prop man Bob Stewart at a cost of $75,000, robot model B9, known only as the Robot, was voiced by actor Dick Tufeld, who also narrated the show. Inside the robot suit was actor Bob May, who appeared in every single episode. Robert Kinoshita, who earlier developed Robbie the Robot for the movie Forbidden Planet, had designed the robot. The robot's bellows-covered legs were articulated at first, and actor Bob May was actually able to move them individually to simulate walking. However, the suit's metal edges sliced his legs, so changes needed to be made. Instead of walking, the robot's legs were then bolted together, and he was pulled along by a wire. The robot also had several memorable catchphrases.
Danger, Will Robinson! Danger! Does not compute. Does not compute.
The change over to color in Season 2 coincided with the premiere and success of the Batman television show in 1966. Because of Batman's popularity, the episodes were then written in a campy manner in order to compete with the show. The focus remained on the trio of Dr. Smith, Will, and the robot throughout the rest of the series, as Dr. Smith's popularity with the audience continued to skyrocket. With the rest of the cast taking a back seat, some of the cast were dissatisfied with the scripts and the new direction of the show. Guy Williams in particular resented taking a back seat and began to feel trapped in the show. Mark Goddard, who played pilot Don West, later stated that Guy would end up stealing some of his lines. He said that Guy would rush out to put them on film while the actors who had originally had the lines were still studying them. The 3rd season of Lost in Space actually saw other members of the cast getting more screen time, but Dr. Smith was still the star of the show. They were leaning more toward the original premise of the show as space adventure. The Robinsons were finally free of being trapped on a planet and were able to travel from place to place. In one episode, they actually returned to Earth by traveling back in time to 1947. While ratings were still good, a 4th season was all but certain. While filming the final 3rd season episode, Junkyard in Space, the cast and crew were led to believe the show had already been renewed for a 4th season. Irwin Allen had placed an order for new screenplays for the next season, and one script was completed, with at least 5 scripts rumored to be in production. However, when CBS revealed the list of returning television programs for its next season, Lost in Space was not on the list. The cancellation was not explained at the time, although the most likely reason was rising production costs and the fact that the actors' pay had roughly doubled since the first season. CBS chairman William Paley also reportedly despised the show and couldn't understand why it was so popular. Paley prided himself on CBS's quality and intelligent programming, so he instructed his executives to cancel it as soon as the ratings dropped. And so, after 83 episodes and 1 unaired pilot, Lost in Space had filmed its final show. The original adventures of the Jupiter 2 were now over, but the reruns were still immensely popular with younger audiences when they aired in the early 70s. The first season's black and white episodes hurt the show's continued viewings though, as many households now had color TVs. By 1975, markets had begun to drop Lost in Space from their schedules. When Ted Turner acquired the broadcast rights for his WTBS Superstation in 1979, interest in the show was revived for a short time. Since then, there has been a big-budget Lost in Space movie in 1998, a proposed television revival series in 2004, and finally a rebooted series on Netflix in 2018. Will we ever see more Lost in Space in the future? Well, the future is never certain, but in the words of Dr. Zachary Smith,
Never fear. Smith is here.
well, that's it for now, guys. Stop back again for more classic TV and movie reviews, trivia, and retrospectives on Rerun Zone. Goodbye for now.